So by now you've probably already watched Piglet, and if you are about to watch it, this video is going to have a couple of spoilers for you. However, you've probably watched it and thought, wow, that was a bit of a wasted potential. And the thing is, I actually really agree with you. As much as I love movies like this, I think there's a lot of very wasted potential in a movie, in a standalone movie about Piglet. And I think that's where the problem is. I don't think this movie is about Piglet, the character that we all know from the Winnie the Pooh cartoons and movies. This is Pig Person, and that is mentioned several times.
I haven't even gotten close to the good part of the Pig Person legend, dude.
In the movie, that the character is called Pig Person. It's only really at the end of the film where someone calls him Piglet.
We want to breed Piglet with you.
So otherwise, I don't think there's any real connection to that character of Piglet. I think the name, clever as it is just thrown on for marketing purposes. Additionally, if you're a fan of Scott Jeffries' movies, and I have to admit, I really did like Blood and Honey too. I thought there was a lot of potential and a lot of fun with Blood and Honey too. Kill count of over 30. That's not bad. This is not part of his Pooniverse. And why would it be? He's already got a Piglet character. He doesn't need to create his own bespoke movie in order to introduce him into the Pooniverse. So there are two things that we need to think about straight away when we're going into looking at this movie. One, it's not really basing itself on Piglet. The actual character of Piglet, he's quite shy. He's quite frightened easily. He lacks courage and he relies on Winnie the Pooh to give him that courage to do things. It's a completely opposite character in this film. Violent, maniacal killer, which is to be expected, I suppose. We are watching a slasher film, but it's not the Piglet character that it could have been. And of course, the other thing is it is just not part of the Pooniverse. However, what you're here for is the question that I've asked in the thumbnail. How could Piglet have been so much better? Give me your ears for a few minutes, because I've got a couple of ideas that I think perhaps could have made this movie just a little bit more palatable for the wider audience. Now, I think that the movie's biggest issue is that where it follows the concept that the characters that Christopher Robin interacts with were all part of a childhood experiment that mixed kids and animals together, and thus we got these grotesque creations of Winnie the Pooh and his friends. In this movie, we get this kind of really rushed backstory that's told right at the start of the movie in the most awkward of all positions.
Is it true what they say about him?
You've got these two police officers in the back of what appears to be some kind of shipping crate with Piglet badly chained up, because you just know he's just going to break free, retelling the story of how he became who he is. And all he was, essentially, was a prisoner who's been experimented on, that we later find out in the movie he's been rendered virtually unkillable.
He realised he couldn't be killed.
And has no actual relation to pig or piglets or anything like that. The concept of Piglet comes when he picks out a mask in the lair that he shares with that guy who owns the cabin site. So he picks out the mask, which I assume is if there's a prequel to this movie, there'll be some backstory involving the fact that he already wore the mask. Hence, there's that legend of the Pig Person that those 5 girls keep talking about.
Everyone, gather up. Mama Judy's has a story for you.
There's another problem I've got with there is it's those girls that are in the movie. Winnie the Pooh, the first one, had a very similar plot. And so this movie seems to have taken the plot of Winnie the Pooh and kind of used it for this one. Just changing out Christopher Robin and changing out the final guy for a final girl who's not very inspiring, let's be honest.
That's okay.
The problem with these first run movies, and the first Winnie the Pooh had the exact same problem, is that I always wonder what a person who can actually act thinks when they're sharing the scene with someone who clearly can't act.
Damn it, I really wanted to read them to the camp.
Now that's a big statement. I understand that. But I think if you've seen the movie, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. There's so many of these characters just deliver their lines so woodenly and so...
What's the occasion?
It's her 21st birthday. Quite the occasion, huh?
That's right.
I want to say fakely. That's not a word, fakely. But just they have no passion behind any of the lines that they deliver. And whether that is an inexperienced director or a terrible script or a combination of both, you're getting an actor that's not really getting the best out of anyone on set, where they're clearly just trying to push out this movie as quick as possible, slap on the name, and boom, there you go. We'll release it to streaming and make a little bit of money. I just think that when you're looking at your casting choices, some clarity in the way that lines are delivered is a big thing. Now, because the movie didn't have any subtitles, I also struggled with the fact that these English actors were mumbling and very strong accent all the way through. Now, that's a bold statement. How could the home of the English language be hard to understand? Well, that's the problem, right? It is hard to understand.
Oh, come on, party pooper. It tastes great.
When the accents are so thick that they come through, and with the absence of subtitles, you kind of miss a lot of dialogue, which had got to the point where I kind of put together that the girls were gathering for a party. I kind of put together that the main girl was suffering some kind of trauma. I didn't really get the rest of how they all connected together. There were clearly two girls that were in a lesbian relationship. Great, that's for the modern audience, that is. There's a real bitchy girl who, all these movies seem to have bitchy girls. And I just don't understand how any of these people would ever be friends with each other. I've had this comment about a lot of horror movies, especially modern teen style horror movies. How do these people ever be friends with each other?
What about your best friend from primary
Uh-huh.
school?
You joined the dark side, little Miss Lesbo. We touched my mop, you die.
That's not even funny, Jordan. Like at all.
It's okay. It's okay. It's just how we talk to each other. Look, I'm not leaving this camp until you two are best friends.
And then when you think that the movie's going to do you a one-up by having some flesh, I don't know about you, but seeing someone covered virtually head to toe in tattoos, I don't find that titillating. And I'm not supposed to. It's a horror film. I get it. If I want to watch something titillating, you go watch something from an adult website. Right. But these scenes are added in order to, lure in that younger teenage male audience. And just, it's a personal preference. I totally get it. And someone in the comment section is going to tell me I'm completely wrong. That's fine. It's just a personal preference. And I'm not a fan of excessive body tattoos. Now, it wasn't until the end of the film where they made a reference to Piglet. And had that not have happened, I don't think you would have ever have thought that this was a movie based on a Winnie the Pooh character. Now, there is one more very small blink it and you'll miss it reference. Well, it's kind of not a blink it if you miss it reference, but it is a reference that's in there. When the final girl, main girl, opens up a curtain and there's a guy that says he's been attacked by a bear. I don't know my geography of the UK that well, but I'm pretty sure you don't have bears. Maybe. So thus I assume that's a reference to Winnie the Pooh. And good you've added it in there, whether that was added in late. However, the exposition could have done better. Think back to Blood and Honey. And I hate to constantly reference Blood and Honey, but it's now the benchmark for these fairy tale movies, I think. Blood and Honey told the story using a lot of animations, and I think that really suited the end product and what they were going for. Now, clearly, it had a bigger budget. We know that it had a bigger budget. Scott made a lot of money on the first Winnie the Pooh movie and went a little bit out on the second one. Now he's going to go all out on the Poohniverse, and that's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome, let's be honest. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. It's going to be a lot more fun than this was. I want to leave you with one thought about Piglet. If you want to make a more authentic style Piglet movie that has to be a horror film, why not take advantage of his size? Hear me out here for a second. We've had a popular movie series called Leprechaun. Well, 5 movies made by Warwick Davis as the main character of the Leprechaun throughout that entire series. Now, there's not like there's not enough, what's the politically correct word for it now? Little people in Hollywood, or just in general, who would love to take on the role of a maniacal piglet killing people. And that's what I think is missing from the movie. It's Piglet. He's a small pig. He doesn't quite have his tusks yet. Yet in this movie, we've got a oversized man in a mask with tusks. And that's not Piglet to me. That's pig person, as they've alluded to in the movie. Piglet should be a piglet, and I think they should play on that. Cute little piglet all of a sudden magically transforms and, you get a kill. That would be a fun horror movie. Practically how you do that, well, that's for your effects crew to kind of work out. I understand when you've got a very short budget, making a slasher with a meat hook and a guy in a pig mask, well, it's always going to work out quicker than actually putting a little bit more creative thought into it. But maybe we can rely on that for next time. So all up, how could we make it better? Well, there's my first suggestion, is to make Piglet an actual piglet. Make it a kind of magical creature that can morph or transform or do something when it needs to kill someone. Thus, if you're using the concept of Piglet, you can use his cuteness to lure people in. Piglet can be something that instills a bit of trust in his victim before he slaughters them. Now, there needs to be a reason for why Piglet is slaughtering them, and I'm sure we can think of a lot of them. Environmental reasons could be the main thing. Perhaps his good friend Winnie the Pooh's been shot by a poacher, or Eeyore's being killed. Tigger, perhaps, as something's happened to him. There's a lot of story that you've got with the other characters that you could infer to make a Piglet movie. And I think you can, there's no reason why you can't just cute him up a little bit. I don't understand the need to have a grotesque looking creature. People are not going to take this horror movie seriously, so let's have a bit of fun with it. Let's make Piglet a cute little character without tusks that will morph into someone who wants to kill him because he's kind of getting revengeful. Winnie the Pooh, who's been poached by Russians. Russians still the bad guy? Maybe not, but let's work on who the enemy is. That way you can have a kind of redemption arc with Pooh at the end. He can meet a lovely kid who helps him see the error of his ways and builds up the courage to make sure that he doesn't continue killing unnecessarily. Until you have the sequel, of course, and then he goes around killing more people. Anyway, that's my idea for how we could possibly make Piglet better. What did you think? If you've seen Piglet right now, how would you have made Piglet better? It is almost 40 degrees here today. I am sweating like a proverbial pig, and I'm also wearing a t-shirt with ham and bacon on it. With bacon and eggs on it. So it quite fits the theme of Piglet here. I'm the Artie Dans. You are watching Shockmania. Thanks for listening to this rant and this idea. Be keen to know your thoughts in the comments below. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you've made it all the way to the end of this video. And otherwise, I'd love to catch you next time.